What's up, True Heel Heat? True Heel Heat.
What's up? True Heel Heat. All hands on me.
Hello, everyone. It's the hardcore legend, Mick Foley, wishing a nice day to everyone there, right there, at True Heel Heat. Yeah!
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are live on the True Heel Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our WWE NXT Stand and Deliver 2025 preview, breaking down this Saturday show from Las Vegas, Nevada, the self-proclaimed biggest show of the year for NXT. So we are here to discuss it. And I am joined by one of my favorite people in wrestling media, one of my good friends in the wrestling media verse. You know her over on Fightful every Tuesday, reviewing WWE NXT with the great, ever sour Alex Pulowski. It is the one and only Kate. How are you doing?
I'm doing so well. Even for poorly built WrestleManias, I'm so excited for WrestleMania. And I feel like NXT has actually been one of the more on-track products. I was talking about this last night with Alex Pulowski. Like, this build has been one of the better builds of the weekend. There's some matches that I'm genuinely so excited for. So, a product that sometimes doesn't always make sense from a booking perspective. I feel like from the MSG house show till now, or not house show, I'm just so used to saying that with WWE, I guess, the MSG show at their theater to now, they've done some good work. And even me, a bona fide hater who understands the art form of hating, it's valid criticism, but I gotta say, like, this has been a better shining spot, I think, on the WrestleMania weekend than some of the other stuff. So I'm actually quite looking forward to Stand and Deliver. I'll be reviewing it over a cup of coffee, which is weird, but that's we do morning wrestling, we do afternoon wrestling, we make it work.
You are always one of the hardest working people in wrestling media, so I appreciate you taking some time out to join us today to preview this card. And I will agree with one thing. I thought that the go-home show to Stand and Deliver was a lot more effective of a go-home show than Monday Night Raw. I will definitely give it that because woo. But yes, we're here to discuss Stand and Deliver. We appreciate y'all if you're joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you're watching us on demand. Either way, show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. You could drop the thumbs up on this video. You could share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys. hear your predictions for the Stand and Deliver card for this coming Saturday in Las Vegas, Nevada. We'll try to highlight as many of your comments as possible. But of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you want to show your support to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, you can do so with a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here, and we always appreciate that kind of support. We got one of our members of the channel, Nikki Boy, who says, what's up, THH fam? Appreciate you joining us. He says, Kate.
Yeah. I hope that was like Kate, and not like an Kate. No. I hope it's a positive
I thought the exclamation points was the positive. The exclamation points.
I think it's good. Yeah.
I feel the energy. We got some love for Kate in the chat. A couple of people saying hey, like Denver Murray. We got Ace who says, what's up, SP3, Kate and Chet. We also got here in the chat a super chat donation from the aforementioned Negro Buck Nick Jackson, Nikki Boy, who says, for Mania week and to celebrate the fact that I just got a new job. Let's go. Congratulations.
Hell
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Love that for
I was
you.
also I got a new job.
Yeah. Love that. Love that.
Oh, thank you so much, Nikki Boy. And congratulations to you. I'm happy you got a new job, something new in the world. Love to celebrate that. We also got Myron Kidd, who says, feel bad for the talent for having to do a 10 a.m. Show. They could have moved the show back further since the arena is near the stadiums. Gonna have some space between the start of WrestleMania and the end of this show. This show's probably gonna end like 1 p.m. Pacific, so they're given like 4 hours or so before the main card of WrestleMania starts.
So I can say this as far as that schedule, the pain points are not even that the show starts at that specific time, from what I understand and from talent that I've heard from. The pain point is the women that have to go into hair and makeup then have to do it at like 3 a.m. or whatever. It's insane. It's insane. So that becomes really tricky. And then the other aspect is, and I don't know if this is true because I heard this kind of under the old regime, but the expectation is that the NXT talent stay to watch WrestleMania for both nights too. So you're getting up so early to be in that chair, but then you're expected to stay until the end of both nights. Is a very exhausting schedule. There's a ton of press in between, the Hall of Fame. Like, it's a very exhaustive weekend. And then for NXT, they turn around and do that all again on Tuesday. You can catch your breath Monday, but these are really, really exhaustive weekends for the talent. They have commitments at Fanatics for the main roster, things like that. So it's never lost on me how much they are earning their paycheck this particular weekend, because it's so much more than even the matches. But that pain point of the women having to be in those hair and makeup chairs early is a tough one. And this is actually a nice throwback to you. We know that on the pre-show, there's actually going to be a wrestling match, which is more than I can say for the main roster, but it is a women's match. So they're going to be on early.
I have some gripes about certain people that are in this pre-show matchup, but we're gonna get into that, of course. But yeah, I always appreciate a pre-show that actually has a match. I don't like to hear the talking heads for 3 hours like we are going to do on Saturday and Sunday for WrestleMania.
Insane to have that much yapping, but you can't get your women's world titles on the card or mid-card titles on the card. That seems silly, but we can gripe about that another time. Let's dig into this preview.
Yes, let's go into it. Continue to sound off in the live chat and show your support to what we do here. But yes, let's talk about that. But before we get into the card, we always do our pay-per-view previews with our anticipation level, excitement level for the show. So from 0 to 10, where are you at, Kate?
I'll put myself at a 7.75. Okay. If we're in the Tokyo Dome, I'm full on excited, but the things that I am excited about are the ladder match. I think will be fantastic. I'm excited to see what we get from a lot of these matches. The women's fatal 4-way, I think, will be great. Very excited for Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. The things that are kind of diluting it for me are the fact that there are just so many multi-person matches on this card. Like, to me, the feeling of a blow off between two people is why I like pro wrestling. Make me feel like you want to beat the crap out of each other. I feel like when you start to add so many people into it, it dilutes that down a little bit. But I am more excited for this than I am for a lot of things on the weekend, unfortunately, because I do think it's been a stronger build. Daytime wrestling is always kind of like its own unique flavor too. So I feel like for the actual show and the matches being seeded, I'm pretty excited. But between a 7 and an 8 for where things stand right now, I think they've turned this product in a really positive direction overall.
Yeah, I think I'm at like after the go home show. I was very down on this card. I cannot front because I felt like they blew their load a bit on the Madison Square Garden show, especially with the women's title match. I was just like, and how that's been. I've had whiplash at the changes that have happened since that winner takes all matchup between people relinquishing titles, people coming back who they thought was injured, and all this stuff. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to that. But the fact that there was like 3 matches announced for the show before last night's show, and then we have like a 7-match card, it was a downside in that it felt haphazardly put together, but the upside was that the go home show actually mattered for once. So
100%.
Shawn Michaels and Triple H are never that good at go home shows. That was an effective go home show last night.
It's true. And even yesterday, I even thought the tag gauntlet was super well done because the team that won got their win back on teams that they had consistently lost to. So I agree with you that the women's title route to get there is very weird. The Ethan Page, Ricky Starks route to get there is very weird. But when I look at the card, the matches that are there, I am excited for. I think there's something really, really cool happening in the men's main event scene, which I haven't been able to say for a very long time. And that Trick Williams, Javon Evans, and Oba Femi are such different wrestlers, such different in-ring, such different just energies about the way that they go about business. And I felt like that part is really, really cool. The build to it has definitely been wonky. I do feel like some of that is the unsettled nature of what might have been going on the main roster. Like we're going to talk about Roxanne in a second, but that certainly seems like there was some trickle down effect. Like they didn't know what they wanted to do with their own women's tag belt picture. I think on the main roster impacted what's happening here. The injury that was not that serious, that could have been serious, but we don't know if it was serious to Giulia or whatever that looked like, I think affected things as well. So I have a little bit of forgiveness around that by the nature of NXT and the fact that like some weird routes to get there might have been affected by the overall circumstances of the rest of Mania and some injury. So in a rare moment of being more forgiving to NXT, that's where I'm putting myself between that 7 and 8. But they took some weird routes, as they always do.
They tend to do that. This is the Shawn Michaels way of life. We got good friend of the channel, Shadi, in the chat, who says 2 goats, let's fucking go. SP3 and Miss Kate. Thank you for that. And
thank you so much.
You made me laugh a bit. Greg Carter II. He says, "Wait, this isn't ROH." No, it's not.
No, it's not. But for that pay-per-view, we'll probably be chatting. So stay tuned for that for sure.
Stay tuned for that. Only Kate and Alex Pulowski will I stay up till 5 a.m. here in the UK to review a wrestling show. Only 2 people.
Legend. You're a legend.
So let's talk about the pre-show matchup, the aforementioned pre-show matchup that was added to the card on yesterday's show, as it's going to be a number 1 contenders matchup to determine who faces the women's tag team champions, whoever they may be, coming out of WrestleMania Sunday. They will get the winner of this matchup will get the opportunity at those champions on the Tuesday NXT after WrestleMania, which is going to feature this pre-show matchup. You got the Metaphor Girls of Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend. You got Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. You got Fatal Influences, Fallon Henley and JC Jane, and the Will they get along? Can they coexist tag team of Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade? Roxanne was kind of the odd person out of this whole thing because a lot of the members of this matchup failed to qualify for the NXT Women's North American ladder match. So Ava wanted to give all these women an opportunity to be on the Stand and Deliver card. So she made it a triple threat tag team matchup at first. Roxanne Perez was about to pick herself to be her own partner until Stevie Turner was like, she can't do that. And Ava was correct that she can't do that. And then Cora Jade came into the office and says if Roxanne is ready to apologize, then she will be her partner. We never saw the apology, but I guess it happened since they will be teaming on Saturday in this four-way matchup. I think that it's an absolute travesty that Roxanne Perez is on this pre-show. After the NXT Women's Championship reign that she had, why couldn't she just be in the ladder match? Like, at least be in the ladder match. Like, I understand you wanted to move on from her in the NXT main title picture, and you are absolutely right what you were alluding to earlier. I think that whatever was supposed to happen with her on the main roster got changed and she got reverted back to NXT. But I don't understand why Sean couldn't just put her in the six-way ladder match. I don't know who I would take out of that six-way ladder match to put in Roxanne, but Roxanne was better used there. But all that withstanding, this should be a fun matchup. What have you thought about this all coming together and Roxanne being here and the winner? Who do you got?
I think it's ridiculous that Roxanne Perez is on an NXT show. She was the longest in the Royal Rumble. She set a record. Like, if you set a Royal Rumble milestone, you should not be in NXT on the Stand and Deliver card. Like, she was the longest in there. She was the runner-up. She was in the Elimination Chamber. If you are consistently contending for world titles on the road to WrestleMania for the main roster, the pre-show of NXT feels like a very, very, very wrong place to put her. This is interesting to me, though, because I do appreciate that they put stakes on it. I find it ridiculous that the NXT women's tag titles were merged with the main roster ones in the first place. I wish they would just give them back. NXT's biggest strength is that women's roster and the amount of screen time the women give. I always give props to that, even on the worst weeks. But what is interesting to me on this is if Bayley and Lyra win, I think they're holding those titles for about 5 seconds, because I think then with the history with Roxanne, there's a very, very good shot that they just win them, right? I think that's very, very possible. But if Raquel and Liv win, I don't know if that's the fact. Maybe Cora betrays her then. I don't know. But the positive of this is I think there's a very high possibility that Cora and Roxanne end up winning and are the ones with that contendership. With the influx of women's talent, with the former Delta, now Zarya, with Giulia and Steph Vaquer showing up, I feel like overall NXT has actually done a very good job about being able to keep a lot of the women that were already cooking on screen. Like, there aren't a lot of people that have taken a back seat. I would say that JC Jane and Gigi Dolan have kind of been casualties of that. Like, their way has just been a little bit lost. And I'm glad to see that there's still a priority and on this card. I'm going Cora and Roxanne for it, but I hope this is a sign of things to come for Gigi, for JC Jane. Like, JC Jane's ceiling is higher than somebody's stooge. Gigi Dolan, if Toxic Attraction hadn't broken up, she'd be on the main roster, a tag champ 74 times by now, because that's how they book those titles. Like, if you're just in someone's hometown, you're probably winning them. So I'm frustrated by the lack of creative around Roxanne, but I think they probably win them, and I think there's a possibility they're your tag champs by Tuesday. So we'll see.
Wouldn't mind that at all. I do agree, though, that the winner of the Women's Tag Team Championship matchup, which is on WrestleMania Sunday, I believe, is probably going to be, you're probably going to know who it is by whoever wins this matchup. I think that, that if Roxanne and Cora win, there's a good chance that, Bayley and Lyra win the titles just to drop it to them 2 days later. But if Cora and Roxanne don't win, I think that it's safer to go with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So I'm going to be different, and I'm going to go with the Meta Girls. I'm gonna go with the Meta
Okay.
Girls to pick up a victory because I think that Liv and Raquel are gonna retain on Sunday, but I think regardless of who wins that matchup, they'll probably lose on Tuesday. I think that it's time for the Meta Girls to get their opportunity. These are the titles they've been chasing for months since before last year's Crown Jewel. So let them get the shine. I think that Roxanne and Cora will find their way to the main roster in another way. So I'm going to go with the Meta Girls here.
I like that prediction, and I think Jakara and Lash are two of the most especially Lash. Like, she came such a long way. Seeing that growth has been really, really, really awesome. So I would love that for them. You're right. They've had multiple shots. Let them climb up the rest of the mountain. We'll see. It's so tricky with NXT because some of it is like, do you want to call them up yet or no? So we'll see how that plays out.
And this is, like you said, we got also Nikki Boy. He says, yeah, they should have never merged those tag titles. It's funny because they should have never merged those tag titles, and they should have never split the main roster men's tag team titles.
Talk about tag divisions that are in rough shape, man. Like, that Raw one is... The Raw tag titles have not been on a PLE since last WrestleMania. That's just like heartbreaking, man. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
and then they basically throwing them a bone by putting them on this year's WrestleMania when the better tag team division is on SmackDown and they're relegated to the SmackDown before WrestleMania.
And it sucks because I really feel like the New Day's heel turn was one of the more authentically like emotive segments that I've ever seen. Like it really genuinely made me feel something. And then I feel like they've done nothing to capitalize on that. I really wish there was going to be a Biggie special guest referee situation that was happening for that, but doesn't seem like it's in the card, at least not announced yet. But yeah, I agree with both of those things, that these tag titles never should have been merged. And if this is how you're going to use the men's one, they probably should never have been split.
But let's talk about the main card for Stand and Deliver, the aforementioned North American Championship matchup. It's with some familiar faces. If you're fans of AEW, Tony Fumbled matchup here, as it's going to be Ricky Saints defending the gold against All Ego Ethan Page. Ricky Saints has come into NXT and had the fastest rise of anyone who's come into NXT in recent memory, except for one guy. I think there's one guy that had a fast rise as well. Oh, it's his opponent in this matchup, Ethan Page. Ricky Saints, it only took a month and a half before he won his NXT North American Championship. Last year, Ethan Page came into NXT in May of 2024 and won the NXT Championship in July of 2024. So these two stars who came over from AEW have made a name for themselves in NXT and now go one-on-one. It was Ethan Page who stole the spotlight away from Ricky Saints after he defeated Shawn Spears for the North American Championship, laying him out and standing tall over him. He then laid him out again with the twisted grin 2 weeks ago on NXT, and then he won a fatal four-way matchup against Lexis King, Wesley, and Eddie Thorpe on last night's NXT to become the number one contender before Ricky laid him out with a spear to stand tall. These two men have some history with one another. How have you liked how they put this match together, and who you have winning on Saturday?
So I'm going to go with Starks retaining. It's so interesting because I feel like him and Jordynne Grace are not long for NXT, but I don't think he gets called up this fast. I feel like Ricky Starks, Mr. Money in the Bank, is so obviously a way to go, but we'll see if that happens. I feel like he might drop it to Ethan Page, just not right now. Like, I could see that being the case, but that should be a trillion. I'm sorry, Saints, Ricky Saints. I'm still adjusting.
I do it all the time. People think I'm joking, but I just do it naturally. I see his face. It's like Ricky Starks, right? Ricky Starks. Oh, no, Ricky Saints.
Ricky Saints. It's just... like, they did a good job of making it very close to his original name, but it pulls me. Like, it's taking me some time. That's not me trying to be like, hey, W forever or any nonsense. I'm not trying to be that girl. I'm genuinely. I could see him dropping it to Ethan Page in a trilogy, in a longer term story. So I'm going to go with him retaining here. This one is interesting because I thought for sure, because everything else is a multi-man match, that yesterday's qualifier was going to end in a DQ and we were going to make this a multi-man match as well. I feel like I can't say this food sucks and the portions are too small because I'm constantly advocating for people to actually qualify for matches. But I feel like with this one, you had Ethan Page coming off of those matches with Javon. He seemed so sadistic. They seemed so targeted and violent and like a really dark side of Ethan Page. So I kind of wish that we didn't take a 4-pack road to get there because I feel like it took some of the sting out of it. It took some of the heat out of it. This could have used another week or two, but obviously the timeline being what it was with the Shawn Spears match and things, you couldn't really do that. But I am very much looking forward to this, and I don't think this is a one and done. I think we're probably gonna dig into the juice of this a little bit more as time goes on throughout the rest of the spring and the summer.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that. I also could definitely see Ethan Page getting called up to the main roster because I think that he's ready to be on the main roster. He could be like a very reliable mid-card guy, be in like the Intercontinental title, U.S. title scene, and fit in with the main roster. I think Ricky Saints, he might be here for a little while longer. He might be just behind Ethan Page, but I think Ethan Page should get the call up pretty soon. And especially after getting that like kind of stamp of approval, that endorsement from The Rock at New Year's Evil, I think that was a sign that he's not long for NXT much longer. So I think that I'm going to predict this is his swan song in NXT, and that he's going to be a part of the WWE draft. So I am going to go with Ricky Saints to retain. I think that Ricky Saints is the type of guy who could have a kind of a North American title reign that establishes him as a player, a major player in NXT, and then lose the title and then directly go into the NXT Championship scene. I think that's his pathway for establishing himself in WWE.
There's nothing I've been more wrong on as a podcaster than timelines of people getting called up. I'm like, Alex and I joke about this. We're famously so wrong. We thought Braun Breaker was going up a year before he did. Like, we are the most wrong about that. Me especially. Like, I've just never, ever paced that right, like, with what they're doing. I agree with you, though. I don't think Ethan Page has anything left to prove in NXT. I just thought maybe he's one of their tentpole talents for another 6 to 12 months after that. But I would love... You want to talk about like feuds? I want to see him and LA Knight. Please sign me up. Get those guys on the mic. Get those guys in the ring. If I'm hoping Jacob Fatu wins that title, but if Solo Sikoa were to cost him, could get interesting. I feel like Ethan Page coming into the mid-card picture there would be something really cool.
Myron Kidd saying Ricky Saints definitely should be on the main roster by the time they have WrestleMania New Orleans. Yeah, I could see that. I could also see him being in the main event of Stand and Deliver in New Orleans. I think that's, hey, you could be in this multi-man Intercontinental title match next year at WrestleMania, or you could be the headliner at Stand and Deliver. I think, I don't know. Is one better than the other? It's up to you, whether you decide. But yeah, and I also, I agree with this, that what Shadi says here. He says him getting called up would be good for him, but the men's division would suffer like crazy. That's why I thought originally he was coming to NXT, because the men's division needed it. And it's like you said before about the main event, the men's division feels so much better than it did like 3 months ago right now.
So much. Yep. Agreed.
Now let's talk about the NXT Tag Team Championships, which will be up for grabs as Fraxia, Nathan Frazier, and Axiom will defend against Hank and Tank. My boys, honk honk. They won the gauntlet match, going wire to wire, beating 4 different teams in the gauntlet matchup. A whole bunch of all these teams who had previously beat them over the last month of NXT TV. Hank and Tank has really been the focus of the tag team division over the last couple of months, with them getting guidance from main roster teams like your Motor City Machine Guns, like Pretty Deadly, like the Street Profits. And finally, it all came together last night in that gauntlet match where they picked up the victory. All the while, they had kind of been getting 2 different messages from our NXT Tag Team Champions, as Axiom is very kind of encouraging to the young team, while Nathan Frazier's cockiness has grown and grown throughout this reign for Fraxium, and after him making his debut on the main roster over on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. So we'll see if that all comes to play in this matchup here. Not too much build into this one. It's more been about the story of Hank and Tank. So I'm going to make the prediction here. I think my boys are becoming new tag team champions. Honk, honk, Hank and Tank for the win. Kate, what have you thought about the Hank and Tank story, and who do you think wins?
Well, for starters, I'm starting to understand what wrestlers like, what vibe you like, because you loved Beef on ROH. Huge Beef fan. And now you love Hank and Tank, and I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the patterns. I'm seeing the patterns. For SV3.
I got a big stomach too. I understand.
These lot guys of enthusiasm, big boys. I like it. I'll do you one further. I think they win, and I think Fraxium takes the piss out of anything that New Day gets, and they come into the tag division and they dethrone New Day on Monday after Mania. I think that Fraxium is due for a call up. That tag division needs some life into it. I think pulling the Paige versus AJ Lee story of the newcomers just coming in and winning those titles the day after they were won is a great way to start a feud. And maybe the New Day win them back. Maybe I always want Big E on screen, so I'm just going to keep fantasy booking him into things. Maybe Big E costs them on Monday. I've decided this is my agenda. It's just, I need Big E involved in some way. He can't take that heel turn lying down, man. Get him in there. But I really think this story calls for it. It feels like these guys taking them from Fraxium is the story that they've told us so far. So again, never been right maybe about a single NXT call-up since I started covering the product. But I feel like it's time for Fraxium to move on up, because that Raw tag division especially really needs it. Yeah, that was a great idea. That works for me, because that's another reason why I think Hank and Tank is going to win. Is because, like you said, I think that Fraxium have done everything they can. They have become one of the greatest tag teams in NXT history, but there's only so much you can do, and they've worked with every other single team in this division, and it would be the great payoff for this whole storyline with Hank and Tank for them to get the win here. And Fraxium, yeah, I 100%. I'm with it. I'm now sold. You sold me on this idea. All right.
I want Fraxium to go to Raw and beat the New Day one day after the New Day win, or 2 days after the New Day win the tag team title. That would work perfectly with their characters as well.
I think so. I think it'd be fun to go through, for sure.
Absolutely. We got Nikki Boy who says Fraxium have to be brought up to the main roster together and not solo. Yeah, I think that they basically gave them their little tryouts as singles performers, but they will be better utilized as a tag team. And then, like you said, the Raw tag team needs a tag team like Fraxium.
Needs it so badly. And I actually think there's something very fun about their odd couple thing where they're never on the same page, but it doesn't break them up, because it always breaks tag teams up. So the fact that they always work through it, I actually find really charming.
And it would make the perfect feud with them and New Catch Republic, who are also tag team, stay together, yet have two completely different personalities.
I love the big strong boy being back. Let's go.
Speaking of tag team action, we got a 6-man tag team matchup that was added to the card for NXT Stand and Deliver. It's going to be the Dark State teaming up, 3 members of Dark State going up against the 3 male members of the D'Angelo family. Dark State have been running roughshod over the NXT roster ever since making their main debut at Vengeance Day in February. They've executed attacks on multiple individuals, including Tony D'Angelo, which really got under the skin of the boss. We were introduced to each member of the Dark State by the D'Angelo family, and I thought one of the more creative ways to establish each of these individuals. Cutler James is, of course, part of the best WWE weekly show in the world, LFG. Argue with Your Mama is the best TV show for WWE right now. He is the master of the upper color and former Duke University wrestler. You got Saquon Sugars, who is the most hilarious member of Dark State, including last night on NXT during the parking lot brawl. He said, 12, it's 12, it's 12, and started jetting the hell out of there. Cracked me the hell up. There is Osiris. You got also Dion Lennox, and of course, the D'Angelo family have been going through their own troubles before even Dark State started showing up, with Stacks trying to take more of a leadership position as the underboss. He was the one that challenged Dark State to the parking lot brawl last night, which wasn't in their favor until Tony D'Angelo showed up and snitched. He came with the cops, paid cops, but still he came with the cops. He's a snitch. I love the ridiculousness of this whole storyline. I'm sorry. This parking lot brawl, one of the best segments I've seen in WWE television heading into WrestleMania, because I laughed my ass off. I laughed my ass off. Kate, what have you thought about this rivalry that has gone down between Dark State and the D'Angelo family?
So I've actually really liked a lot of it. Yesterday's backstage brawl was not it for me. Just the editing was not what they were intending for the execution of it, I think. But a lot of people had fun laughing at it instead of going along for the ride with it. But the one thing I know NXT can do is a parking lot brawl. Why did they abandon the format? Like, everything's a parking lot brawl in NXT, and all the action happens in the parking lot. Don't abandon what's working for you. Come on now. But I agree with you. I really liked how the D'Angelo family was the one to introduce these guys to the main roster and the way they did it. I think the relationship strain between Tony D'Angelo and Stacks has actually been really good. Tony D'Angelo, everyone was like, this guy's a meme wrestler, but he's kind of really great at this in actuality. Like, Alex Pulowski every Tuesday is the biggest fan of him, but I'm with him on how good he is. Like, he can sincerely pull off the acting side of this. Anytime they've done vignettes with this guy, he's killed it. The Gallus storyline, when they were doing the Legato family stuff, that was all really, really well done. So he has a really great feel for this. And I actually really like him in the ring because he's just, people will be like, he's so messy. And I'm like, yeah, because he's in there to kick your ass, though. He's a brawler. He doesn't need to be pretty. So I love Tony D. I think Dark State has to win this. I think it needs to pay off the tension between Stacks and Tony D. And you don't want Dark State losing their first like real match coming in here. Like they set up this feud. They're brand new stable. They got to get the win here. So I think it benefits everybody if Dark State wins.
Yeah, and I do agree with this from Nikki Boy. Saquon is the de facto leader of Dark State
by far. Like that you look at that guy for 2 seconds and are like, he's it. He's just it. Like he is.
There's no one who kind of encompasses the chaos that Dark State has put on NXT more than Saquon Sugars. I was down on Dark State when they were originally introduced, all the way up until they started adding the lights and the ridiculousness when they attacked people, especially at like Roadblock. I was like, what is this? This did not work for me. But I think they've taken the right steps with this rivalry here, with introducing each of the members, establishing them, giving them an actual name, and kind of establishing that, no, Trick, Javon, these guys, you heard the internet rumors, was like, oh, those guys are like the leader of Dark State. No, it works better if they are kind of like a NXT Shield. That I called them Shield Tribution when they debuted at Vengeance Day, because it was parts Retribution, parts Shield in a bit. But I think they've gone in a opposite direction and kind of established them as their own entity. So I've enjoyed it. But I agree with you. Yeah, Dark State is going to win this one.
Robert D. Felice called them Retro Bootleg, and I almost fell out of my chair. That was my favorite of the Shield and Retribution comparisons. Retro Bootleg absolutely killed me. Follow Dude Felice on Twitter. He's the best.
Absolutely.
But I overall agree with you. I think it got off to a really rough start, but I will say anytime they've done an attack on someone in the ring, it looked different. And WWE tends to get very formulaic about those. And I appreciate that. Like the way they go after Oba Femi is different than the way they go after Trick Williams and other people. Like they've done a really, really good job of making them feel like a threat in that way. The outfits in the beginning and the spotlighting, that all felt really inauthentic and goofy, but they have seemed to turn a corner with them. I just wish the introduction wasn't so, like, corny.
Yeah, yeah, it could have been much, much better. And I do agree with you. Like, Tony D has grown on me over time. I really like what he's gonna do. So that's why I also think post match, Stacks turns on Tony D. They got to pay it off. They got to pay off all the teases and the dissension that we've seen from them, because I'm like, all right, after a while, Stacks, I understand, because Tony D was talking down to him after that backstage brawl.
Do you think he's a part of Dark State? That's the big one that I've been marinating on. Is Stacks a part of Dark State? Has this been all his all along?
I don't know. I don't think he should be the leader of Dark State. I wouldn't mind him joining Dark State, more like joining than him being a part of it this whole time, because he has been like kind of like at the front line, like basically them and get revenge for Tony D. So if he's convinced by them beating him to join Dark State, I wouldn't mind that.
SB3, my favorite Tony D fact is that on the introductory vignettes in NXT 2.0, he was talking about the Hudson River with the Chicago theater behind him. It's the best. It's the funniest thing about him. He's talking about shipping bodies down the Hudson River, and it's just like that bright old Hollywood bulbs Chicago theater sign in the background. My favorite thing.
He's good at mob stuff, not geography.
Yes, yeah.
That's the key.
It was just a river to him. It was, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the matchup that they've been building up the last couple of weeks, which is the NXT Women's North American Championship six-way ladder match. The North American Championship infamously was basically crowned in a six-way ladder match on WrestleMania weekend back in 2018. One of the best matches in NXT history. The Women's North American Championship was crowned in a six-way ladder match at last year's Battleground, and now we have it here once again following Stephanie Vaquer winning the championship back at Vengeance Day and then winning the winner-takes-all matchup against Giulia at Roadblock. She defended the title on 1 week of NXT, and then the following week, no, she didn't relinquish the title. Let's get this straight, because I've been seeing a lot of people confused. I've watched this several times because I think this is the point where Ava, as general manager, jumped the shark only because of the writing. She made Stephanie Vaquer relinquish the title championship because they want to give people different opportunities. I said so many people, Kate, in my comment when I was like, this is stupid. Is telling me, no, Stephanie, it makes Stephanie look like she cares about the roster because she's giving it up because the roster is so deep. I was like, that would be nice, but no, the general manager made her relinquish the title. She was ready to defend it and keep defending it and look like the badass that she was. He made her relinquish the championship because they wanted to add another match for Stand Deliver, basically. But we are going to get several women getting the opportunity on this big show, as it's going to be the six-way ladder match with the inaugural Women's North American Champion, Kalani Jordynne. You got Sol Ruka and Zarya, the tag team partners, Izzy Dame of The Calling, Lola Vice, who qualified last night, and the other person who qualified last night was the returning Thea Hale, who came out to Eddie Edwards' TNA theme, which was hilarious.
With "I'm a full-grown woman" or "I'm a real-ass woman" or something on the front of it.
Oh, God, I hate when they do that. Why do they have to do catchphrases at the beginning of everyone's song?
Def Rebel is, they're dog shit. They're terrible. They're so bad at this.
Def Rebel didn't even make the theme song. Whoever TNA's in-house person made that, I am the fire. Oh, I went on Google and I was like, I've heard this theme before. Let me find out who it is.
It was definitely Eddie Edwards. But Def Rebel's the one that insists on putting like a catchphrase at the start of everything. It's so bad.
What have you thought about the whole North American Championship picture and how this came about?
So the worst part with the Steph stuff was the week before she was like, I am a fighting champion. I will defend both titles on the same episode if I have to. And the next week she was like, I simply cannot keep this pace. It was like so disconnected from week to week. Ava as a GM, because of the writing, you're correct, is very inconsistent. And that the way she's like, Oba Femi, you can't just create matches for yourself and then is like, do whatever you want with other talent. Like, it's very odd. I don't like that, and I didn't appreciate the writing in this segment that Steph was forced to, or at least like goaded into relinquishing her title. It was all very odd. However, I'm looking very forward to this title match. Like I feel like they should have just done this the Tuesday after Stand and Deliver, and Steph could have been in it and lost it that way. Because she just went through a war with Giulia or something like that. I feel like that would have been more sensible booking, but excited that this much talent gets on the card. These matches are always so much fun. Thea Hale feels like the likely winner, but just to shake it up, I'm going to say it's Sol Ruca, and that Zarya turns on her because of that. They've been buddy there. I think Zarya also winning would be really fun, but if Sol wins, it gives Zarya a reason to snap on her. We had kind of talked through some of this on yesterday's post show too. Like I'm waiting for that moment, and I think it could create a really compelling story between the two of them, because there is such a beautiful difference in what they do. Like Zarya's out there in her warrior face paint and F5ing and spearing the hell out of people, and Sol Ruca has this incredible magnetism about her and this ease about her and this obviously very athletic background and more acrobatic in style. So I feel like both of them are poised to carry off a story like that. And I feel like Zarya was like, of the three that came in, the one in some ways I was most excited about because people knew the least about her. And I think she's a really, really, really special talent. Like, she is really incredible. And I think the more people get to know the in-ring from her, the more they're going to like her. And I want her to be poised to take that belt off of Sol Ruca in 3 to 6 months from now or whatever. So I'm going to say it's Sol Ruca. Yesterday definitely, I think, throws a wrench in that gear, but I'm going to vote with my heart on this one. And I'm going to say Sol Ruca is your next North American champion.
Yeah, prior to the final qualifying matchup, I was with you. I was like, it makes sense for either Zarya or Sol Ruca to get the victory here to kind of circumvent them feuding with one another, because I think that we'll finally see the real potential of Zarya when she turns heel. She needed to be heel probably from the very beginning of coming to NXT to make her different from Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer, because they were kind of like the big three signings at the fall, the fourth quarter, third quarter of last year for NXT. She needed to be a heel off the bat, but they gave her this kind of badass presentation that made her a babyface. So they kind of just went in that direction. But I think that, yeah, in the future, there is going to be a rivalry between them. But like I said, I thought this before the last qualifying matchup. Now it has to be Thea Hale. Thea Hale has to win the NXT Women's North American Championship, because not only that will not only help her in finally winning gold in NXT, but it will also help whatever the story they got going on with Andre Chase, where he's reopening Chase U and trying to teach some new students, because then he can say, hey, look what I did for Thea Hale. She's the NXT Women's North American Champion. So I'm going to go with Thea Hale.
Justice for Duke Hudson. I was like the biggest Duke Hudson stand in the world, and I continue to be. I don't know what this Andre Chase thing is with Kale Dixon and the fanboys of Chase U. Was just a very odd thing, but I think Thea Hale makes a lot of sense in that she came back for this. Very happy for her, and that she's been able to recover from her back injury. Sincerely, that's rough stuff. So glad to have her back. That'll be a nice shot in the arm for the women's division, and also it's great for Eddie Edwards because he deserves this win too. Very happy for him getting to have this moment, because you know it's going to be his theme playing as he walks to the ring. So glad Eddie Edwards is my pick for the Women's North American title picture.
I know I was annoying both Jeremy and Joel, who are big Thea Hale marks, as I was like, "Ooh, Eddie Edwards came back, right? Right? That's what I heard. I wasn't watching the screen. I just heard his music."
By audio only, I would be like, Eddie Edwards is back and he's a full-grown woman or a grown-ass woman or whatever they said at the beginning of that. So
I'm a grown-ass woman. Now my time, dig on the fire.
how do you lay that down and are like, yeah, this is what the theme should... What on earth, man? No.
This is the same company who decided to do a Ricky Starks AEW theme remix in the worst way possible and just added, I am the revolution.
I said on the show yesterday, I was like, the Canva stock music that I use to make graphics is more inspired than what Death Rebel is doing. Like, Ray Phoenix and Penta's themes are so bad and they're such cool wrestlers and the rest of their presentation rules. Like, it's rough. It's rough.
I've seen so many people like compliment, and I do think that it's great presentation with Penta's entrance, but it absolutely kills me, that theme music. I was like, that theme music sucks. I was like, Penta, I will at least say, is passable. It's not good. It's not solid. Passable to fine is just one level above bad. Phoenix is bad. Phoenix music is
actively bad.
It's terrible. It's
actively
terrible. Bad. And it totally takes away the effect of an otherwise great presentation of his entrance.
100%. 100% with you. Mikey Ruckus is a legend, is what I learn more and more day over day.
Yes. It's like y'all couldn't find any Mexican rappers for them? Like, for at least one of their songs? Like, seriously?
It's so, like, I don't know if Royal Rumble this year didn't wake them up, I don't know what will. Like, I just don't. Nobody popped for any entrances at Royal Rumble because these themes were so bad. Really rough.
Yeah.
Really rough.
Everyone needs that. Everyone. I was given a list by Wrestle Talk of WWE stars who need a new entrance theme, and I had to ask my editor. I was like, we can't do over 10, right?
You were like, is it over or under 75? Yeah, it's so bad,
so many of my lists were people that just got new themes, or I had Ray Phoenix on that list, by the way. But so many of them were people like Street Profits. I was like, this song sucks. Judgment Day, they just got a new theme. That song sucks. Oh my god, that makes Ray Phoenix theme sound
I love. I'm like, ego. Like, what are we doing? It's so bad. Everything is just hook, dance music, something inaudible, mixed lo-fi in the back. It's bad. It's bad. I'm not a sound engineer, but I know enough to know, like, when somebody's just using presets instead of like actually doing mixing work. It's just like drum sound number 3. That's what they're doing. It's the laziest shit I've ever heard. It's bad.
Oh, man. Yeah, everybody's in agreement here. Yes. It's
like
really
the one thing that wrestling can unite on. Like, wrestling fans are all like, this shit is ass.
This hilarious comment here by Power Drive Finisher. He says they can't find Mexican rappers for him talking about Lucha Bros, but somehow Tessa could.
End the show. Nothing's gonna get better than that.
That's the peak.
Screaming.
Right Tessa is better at finding Mexican rappers than WWE. That's a headline. We gotta send that to Jeremy. We gotta send that to Jeremy Lambert.
Incredible.
All right, let's talk about the aforementioned NXT Women's Championship matchup. Yes, it is a fatal 4-way match, as Stephanie Vaquer will defend against Giulia, Jordynne Grace, and Jaida Parker. I said on the Raw review yesterday that I thought it was pretty underwhelming and uncreative of WWE on Monday Night Raw to have the 3 women for Io, Rhea, and Bianca. Their final build were pre-tape promos where they really didn't say anything new. I thought Io was the best of the bunch, but it very just felt uncreative. Meanwhile, NXT did the same thing, and it was so much better. Oh my God. I was like, this is how you could have done it, Triple H. Why aren't you getting notes? Why aren't you getting notes from Shawn Michaels? Shawn Michaels is cheating off of you, which you did Bailey and Lyra going wire to wire in a gauntlet match, and he just did the same thing with Hank and Tate. Why couldn't you take the notes from him for this? Because this was so much better than what they did on Monday Night Raw. Each of them had different presentations, different stories that they were telling. With Jordynne Grace, they showed her TNA run and her being a 3-time Knockouts World Champion. For Giulia, they gave her a storyline reason for why she's back and why she's upset at Stephanie Vaquer, thinking that Stephanie should have gave her another opportunity at the championship since she was given the choice to make her defend her title against anyone at Stand and Deliver. Stephanie Vaquer going back to Chile and being like this mega star for Chile made her look like even bigger of a star with so much aura. But Jaida Parker smashed that promo, crying, talking about her friendship with her uncle and how her uncle isn't here and that was the only person she can trust and now she can't trust anybody and how she's the only homegrown star in this fatal 4-way. Regardless of how they got to this point, they smashed the go home segment with these 4 promos. So I will give them that. Otherwise, this hasn't been the best put together matchup, but I wanted to praise what they did on last night's show. What did you think about those presentations and overall how they built to this matchup stemming from the winner take all matchup with Giulia and Stephanie Vaquer to this here?
It's so funny, SP3. We talked about this, both things that you just mentioned a lot last night. And it feels to me like the main roster was stealing from HBK, even with the tag gauntlet because they don't do enough gauntlets. It's my favorite stipulation, really. It's one of my favorite stipulations. So I'm always team gauntlet. I think they're so fun and a great opportunity to tell unique stories. But this one, the tag gauntlet we got in NXT has had the story that was built. Like every team that was faced by the people that came in first had a win over them. So to get to contendership, they had to get those wins back all in one night. Like that had a story. The gauntlet on SmackDown was 3 teams that had never been teams together before. It was ridiculous. Bailey and Lyra had never tagged together before. Natalya and Maxine had never tagged together before. Michin and B-Fab had never tagged together before. And the person that came out first, you knew was going to win. So you knew that here too, but the story made sense. And it felt like they just were like, what are you doing in NXT? Oh, we'll do that for the women's tag division because we don't really give a shit about that division. So, and again, here, you're right in that these segments were so much more effective. Now, my only complaint about any of them was I did feel like Jaida's was kind of 3 segments in one. I thought she did an incredible job with it, but it was like, my dad was a football coach, and then also this thing with my uncle. I wish that had gotten spaced out in her journey a little bit more, but she killed it, and it was well done. And I felt like this is for people who don't watch with intensity every week and review the show. Like this might be for people that are also tuning in for the first time with NXT. I think it's very smart to be aware of that audience because there might be people that saw Jordynne Grace, like her physical transformation one I thought was really well done. And like people latch onto those stories emotionally. So I thought it was very wise how they did that. Always very cool to see people go back to their home countries and hometowns and be mega stars there. Like the stuff with Steph was so great. Like these were extremely well done. And I feel like the insight was actually more valuable because I think people know less about these performers, certainly about Jaida's past. Like that one really, really came to life. I loved that. So agree that the build was wonky. I feel like this go home actually bailed them out of a lot in a lot of ways. I think Giulia wins and that these two are destined to do this forever. I think Jordynne Grace is going up to the main roster really soon. And I don't think it's Jaida's time quite yet, but I appreciate that they are keeping her around the top of the card and title pictures and not letting her get lost in the shuffle with all these new big names that have come into NXT. They've done a good job of being hyper aware of that. I think we probably get some sort of offshoot program with Jordynne and Jaida where Jordynne puts her over and then heads up to the main roster, probably to smush Chelsea Green in 2 minutes or something like that. So I think I think it'll come down to Steph and Giulia, but I think Steph having like this moment where she was a double champ and then all of that evaporating at once is a really interesting character arc that you could do. And Giulia coming back for her title, I think is good stuff. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But it's so funny because I'm like, 3 of these 4 women could just go up to the main roster if they felt like it. Like they could be like, Steph's actually mega over. She could come up tomorrow. Like Giulia, they can call up tomorrow. Jordynne, I think they are calling up really soon. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna go with Giulia on this.
That's a fair observation. I do want to answer this. We answered it earlier, but someone coming in late saying, "Hey, Kate and SP3, will you guys do a post show for Super Card of Honor next month?" Yes, we are. Yes,
Hell yeah, we will.
We will be there. We will be there on the Fightful main channel for that. But yeah, I think that's a solid observation. But Stephanie Vaquer is the best women's wrestler in NXT right now. So
Yeah.
I think that she should hold on to this title just a little bit longer. And I think her winning will lead to Giulia turning heel. And then we can do a proper Giulia Stephanie Vaquer rivalry. And then maybe you do a rematch between the two from Roadblock at the next PLE and Giulia wins there.
I like that idea a lot. My thing with Giulia in this title is her previous programs had never really been about her. Like there was so much going on with Bayley and Roxanne around her title reign. So next time Giulia has it, I want the focus to be on her and that title. They love these multi-person matches outside of Stand and Deliver. A lot of people are like, it's only this belt. No, they do this all the time with both world titles. So regardless of when it is, if Giulia gets it back, I hope she holds it and gets to be the main character in her own world title story. But I think Steph retaining is definitely a possibility. Definitely a possibility.
Can see that. So yeah, Nicky Boy agrees. He says either Steph retains or Giulia wins. I don't know for sure. We shall see on Saturday. But let's get into the main event for Stand and Deliver. For the NXT Championship, it's going to be a triple threat match as Oba Femi will defend against the former champion Trick Williams and Javon Evans. Trick Williams lost the NXT Championship to Oba Femi in another triple threat matchup with Eddie Thorpe back at New Year's Evil. This led to Trick really kind of snapping and being more aggressive and more of a darker persona and really showing his frustrations the most to Javon Evans, who looked at Trick as a mentor, as a role model in NXT, and as a friend until Trick was really kind of snubbing him and thinking that he was better than him. As Javon said that they needed to take things seriously with Dark State, who had attacked him back at Roadblock, and he said that they needed to take him serious. They were coming after everyone. So when Trick won the NXT Underground matchup against Eddie Thorpe, the Dark State looked like they were about to attack. Oba Femi and him were too busy fighting with one another. Javon tried to get them on the same page, but it led to Javon laying out the NXT champion for a second time because he was the man that laid out Oba Femi in the Iron Survivor match last year that led to Oba Femi becoming the NXT champion. This led to Javon inserting himself in this whole rivalry here with Trick trying to get another opportunity at the NXT championship, and Javon calling Trick out for being exactly like the person he hated the most 1 year ago, Carmelo Hayes, and saying that he was no longer Trick. He was sounding a bit more like Carmelo, which got under Trick's skins, and Trick was definitely upset when Ava made this a triple threat matchup instead of giving him his singles rematch. Javon made another statement on last night's NXT when he was calling out both men for how they've been acting and then laid them both out with the springboard cutter. I've loved how Javon has been as a character. I loved his promo last night because it was one of the most, I felt like I was back in the Bronx. He just speaks like someone I would hear in the hood, in the Bronx a lot with how he cuts promos. And Oba Femi, Trick Williams, these guys are so completely different, but it's so great to see 3 black men in the main event of Stand and Deliver. After last year, we had 2 black men for the first time in the main event on a WrestleMania weekend. So back-to-back years, they are doing it this way. And these 3 guys are totally different characters. You got Oba Femi, who's more regal, more stoic, more dominant as the NXT champion. You have this new edge to Trick Williams, and you got Javon Evans, who's the plucky underdog, young upstart babyface. So I love this. It's three baby faces for the most part going at it. Oba would be the most that's closest to being a heel, but you hear the reaction he gets. He's a baby face. So Kate, what have you thought about the build to this matchup, and who do you think wins on Saturday?
This is one of the things I'm looking forward to most on the whole weekend, honestly. Like, this was really good. I loved the go home segment yesterday. What I've loved, especially with Javon, is him kind of having this wisdom about Trick, and to an extent about Oba Femi too, kind of really reinforces the character of the young OG, right? Like, it doesn't just mean like that he has the skill for it, or even though he's so young, he's been around for a while with it. Like, it's like the added wisdom combined with like the youth and the blinders on that he thinks he can be Oba Femi, like from a story standpoint, that I think has been so endearing about him. Like, there's just something that like you really are into this guy. Like, it's very easy to root for Javon Evans. I think Oba Femi retains. Trick is another one that I'm like, I don't know when he gets called up. Like, I'm confused by it. This edge leaning heel tweener, I think has been really fun for the story because he has a point, but he's also kind of being a dick about it. So it's kind of a fun thing to have there. And Oba Femi just kind of being under the same kind of track as Gunther, I think is a really positive thing. Like, I remember somebody calculated for us like how much time Gunther has spent as a champion in his time in NXT, and it was like 90% of the time he's been on screen, he's been a champion or something. For like, it's crazy how much, and you have to do that because like someone like Oba Femi shouldn't be beatable. When he lost that North American title, they took him off TV, and I thought that was a really good idea because he should be going after a title and winning it if he's not, right? So I love the casual dismissiveness of Oba Femi too. Like, at one point yesterday, Javon Evans goes, "You think the world revolves around you?" And he goes, "Yeah, because I have this title. Like, I'm the world champion. Yeah, I do think the world revolves around me because I have the thing that everybody's chasing." Like, and he does it with this almost like, I don't understand why I wouldn't think that thing. That is so natural and great. Absolutely so in on Oba Femi. All three of these guys, like you said, like just bring something so different to the table within that. Like, I really appreciate what we've gotten out of this. And they've done a good job rebuilding themselves up from their own bad booking of Trick Williams. Like, whenever he's a babyface champion, they just give him these dog shit reigns that are bad.
Yeah.
Like, his one was he beat Joe Coffey at a house show and beat Ethan Page once and then lost. Like, they cannot book this guy as a baby face. So give him an edge, turn him heel, or make him not such a he was never like a like, aw shucks Cody Rhodes about it, but like give him a little bit of grit so that you figure out a way to book him, because he's wildly over for years at this point. So very much looking forward to this. Going with Oba Femi retaining, and as a step further, I'll take it. This is an Alex Pulowski thought, and I love this idea, is having Javon be the guy that dethrones him eventually, but the first time he gets his ass kicked. The second time he gets really close, but Oba Femi is able to put him away, and then have him finally climb the mountain. The energy that this kid has is perfectly ripe for that. So when it's time for Oba Femi to lose, Javon's the guy to do it, but those seeds get planted right here in this triple threat.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if that Javon is the one that beats him like a couple of months from now, like the beginning of next year, whether it be like a New Year's Eve or even next year's Stand and Deliver in New Orleans. I could see Javon being the one that finally beats him, but it's not here. I agree. I think that Oba Femi does retain, continues his title reign, and probably they try to erase Adam Cole from the record books and have Oba Femi be the longest reigning NXT champion in history. I could see that being in the picture for Oba Femi with this reign here. So yeah, I'm going to go with Oba Femi to get the win. And I think it is time. It's been time for a couple of months now, but it is time for Trick Williams to get called up to the main roster. And maybe that's as a heel. Maybe that's as this baby face with an edge. I don't know, but I could see him on the SmackDown roster come the WWE draft.
Sure. I would hope so. I would hope so. Though what they're doing with Carmelo Hayes makes me very worried, to be honest. Like,
hey, just
I don't want it to
up.
be like, oh, sick, a trio with the Miz. Let's go. Like, come on. Goofiest shit ever for that guy. He's Carmelo.
Mello, don't Miz Trick.
It makes me want to. I'm going to it makes me want to vomit. Like, it's Carmelo. Hey, he was a number 1 draft pick, and they're like, we got this idea because your catchphrase in his name. You see, they cross over.
It worked, right? Right.
Then I look on Monday nights and I look at Braun Breaker and I'm like, huh. These are your 2 NXT quarterbacks. Like, but all right. Sure, Mello don't Miz. Great. Awesome. Fun. Great use of him. Definitely where his ceiling is.
Definitely what he needed. Yeah. Great stuff. Great stuff, guys. All we see is cage bangs at this point.
Dude, every week, my cousin's like normal when it comes to wrestling. Like, he's a pretty casual fan. He's a consistent fan, but he doesn't analyze it the way that I do, or we do, or a lot of people do. And he's just like, that guy's really cool. Why don't they do stuff with him? Every week I got a text like, he's so cool. Why don't they do things with him?
It's like I'm trying to figure that out myself, honestly.
Man. I'm like, let's dig in.
Where do you want me to start? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, man.
Well, we've made it to the end of our Stand and Deliver preview. I want to thank Kate for joining me today. Thank you all in the chat for joining us as well. Appreciate y'all chiming in, giving your predictions, and let us know what you thought. If you haven't already, drop the thumbs up, share this video, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. But Kate, I want to give you the floor. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media, what you got going on for WrestleMania week, for everything you're doing, Stand and Deliver reviews, as well as the SmackDown review and anything else. The floor is yours.
I'm already tired from this WrestleMania cycle, but very excited, sincerely. You can catch me tonight at the Mark Order podcast, talking all things Elite after Dynamite. You can catch me on Friday reviewing SmackDown. Saturday, I will be doing the Stand and Deliver. I can't even remember. Stand and Deliver Saturday, right?
Yes, Saturday.
I'm going to say it's Saturday. So I'll be on the main channel on Fightful for that. Fightful Select for WrestleMania Night 1 as well, with Alex Pulowski, who kept SP3 up way too late on your last pay-per-view post show back there. And Night 2 and Raw After Mania, also on Fightful Select with Alex Pulowski. Be a very busy but very, very fun weekend. Looking forward to it. Oh, and follow me at Miss Kate Fabe on social media, but it's a hell space, so just whatever.
Very true. Very true. But thank you, Kate, for joining us today. And go out of your way to follow her and check out all her content from this WrestleMania week. We got plenty of content for you to enjoy here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. Once again, that is our graphic made by the wonderful Romeo. We've gone through 3 days of content so far. Our 4th day tomorrow, we'll be doing a WrestleMania 41 preview. I will be joined by Maggie of Coexisting from Fightful Overbooked, as well
Legend.
as Krista, the star, will be joining me. So I have 2 of my other favorites from the Fightful team joining me tomorrow to preview WrestleMania 41. You got AE Ramble, where we'll be reviewing both Dynamite and Collision on Friday, and then the flagship podcast on Saturday, 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be joined by Dutch Mantel to talk some WWE, as well as Steven Jensen to preview preview, final predictions for WrestleMania and Stand and Deliver. So join us for that as well, and all the watch parties for WrestleMania's Night 1, Night 2, and Raw after WrestleMania as well. We got plenty of content that we've done already, like our Progress Las Vegas preview that I did earlier this week, as well as a official preview with the man himself for Joey Janela's Spring Break, with Joey Janela talking all about Sabu's retirement match against him, the no rope barbed wire matchup, and of course his love for WWE and WWE ID. He's a WWE ID scout, apparently.
That tracks. Can I tell you, was it 2 years ago that I got invited to do a watch along? And I forget what they did to ruin the New Day, but they did something awful to the New Day. And my internet was really, really bad. So much of that watch along was me just doing this. Just horrified to what they did to the New Day, and then trying to fix my internet and being so checked out on what they did to the New Day. It was terrible. It was so funny, but that was like my one watch along experience on this channel. But I love your whole itinerary that you have going on. Anytime I hear Cresta on a podcast, I'm like, I should retire, because nobody does it better than her, man. She's the best. So there's a lot of fun guests that you've got coming on. So stick around, support this channel. This channel rules. Have fun with it.
Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you for joining us today and those kind words. And all of you, remember to join us for all the rest of WrestleMania week. But until then, for Kate, for me, it is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. This has been our NXT Stand and Deliver 2025 preview week. Signing off until next time.